Hey everyone, welcome to the new year and a new episode of Azure Cosmos DB TV. I'm here with Mark Brown, who's going to be walking us through a great demo. But before that, how was your new year, Mark? How are the holidays?
It was good, Tara. Kind of colder than I was hoping. Went to Las Vegas because nothing says happy holidays like going to a casino. So spent some time in Las Vegas, and it was cold and rainy, and then went down to Arizona, and it was colder and rainier there. And then we
Interesting.
left, came back to Seattle, and guess what? It's cold and rainy.
Well, yeah, I hope the weather gets good here in the Bay. It's been nice, pleasant. It was raining yesterday, but today's been pretty sunny. So looking
Wow.
forward to hopefully the same weather in the
Yeah.
coming days.
Lucky you. It's great to be back. We took a break, back right after Build, I think was, or just before Build was our last show. Well, at least my last show. And then, Tara, I know you did some shows over the summer. I was gone after Build. I took off and went to Asia and hung out and did nothing for a long time. And then we decided that California was not working out for us, so we moved back to Seattle. So here I am back up in Redmond, Microsoft campus. I don't have my familiar studio or background or anything. I'm sitting in a tiny little cube of an office, I guess, and trying to make the best of it. But it's a very weird situation. I'm on the other side of the camera now, and you're hosting. And but we've got a lot of cool stuff I wanted to share with you guys. So it's good to be back, and I'm glad to have you hosted.
Yeah, of course. I would love to learn more about, I guess we were at Ignite last time I saw you in person, was at Ignite in Seattle a little over a month ago, which is crazy. Time flew. But would love to go through, I guess, what we announced at Ignite for those who couldn't make it.
Yeah, we did as usual with these events, like whether it's Build in May or Ignite in November. We just have a ton of stuff that we just hold back and then let it all go at once. And this last Ignite was no exception. We did a ton of stuff. I pulled up our blog post that we published right on November 15th. This was the first day of Ignite. And was just looking through this and going back and thinking, wow, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, we're going to talk about some cool stuff we did with MongoDB vCore and Azure OpenAI. But there was a lot of other great stuff we did. We got our Mongo vCore, of course, that we went GA with. So that's been a long time coming. And I know customers are really excited about that. I think we've got a free tier now available for this and some new SKUs available in there. So that's really super awesome. We GA'd, of course, our vector search capability, specifically the IVF vector search in there. And then we announced a preview for our HNSW support for vector search, which is what I'm going to show you in a little bit. So that was super exciting. We had a huge breakout session. This is where I did an awesome demo, and I can't wait to share it with you. It was really fun building it and really fun delivering it. And this was great. We announced the new Azure AI Advantage offer, so customers can get up to $6,000 in free Cosmos DB for 3 months if they go and build applications that have Azure OpenAI and I think Cosmos DB. What else is in there? Or GitHub Copilot in the same subscription within there. They can go and get free Cosmos, so they can go and prototype, build an MVP, and help themselves get up and running, building these new AI-enabled applications in Azure. So that was pretty exciting. And then also, I know near and dear to your heart, we announced something pretty cool with Autoscale, which was the dynamic scaling per partition and per region. And I don't want to steal, since this is your feature, Tara, why don't you tell us all about what that feature is?
Yeah, this is a really cool feature that we just announced for new accounts that were created after Ignite, and hopefully expanding it to all existing accounts as well soon. But this feature, basically, if you've ever run into a hot partition, you know how horrible that can be for your bill. And so with this new update, we hopefully get rid of the hot partition problem, and you're only you can scale up to your consumption rather than like what your highest partition went to. So I would definitely check out this video for an explanation on how exactly that works. And if you're interested in Cosmos DB, would definitely enable this if you're a new account to get some of those cost savings.
You know what else I love about this feature too is, our Cosmos has always kind of positioned itself as we're a great database for high availability, right? And the way you get really good HA capabilities is to deploy into multiple regions. And for a lot of customers, that was frustrating because it always meant you were basically having to double your cost in there. And if you had a setup where you were basically only just reading out of one region, we basically made you pay it for in two regions. And this capability now allows you to kind of run at a dual region and not have to just get socked with twice the cost in there, because we're only going to bill you in the region where you're doing the reads from. So if you wanted to have like a hot region and like a warm standby, you could now do so in a more cost efficient way, which I think is just a really awesome message for customers, which is, hey, we want you to have high availability. We want you to get the best benefits out of using Cosmos. And oh, there you go. Somebody, I don't know what that graphic was I just saw right there, just flashed up. There you go. But now you can do it and do so in a really cost efficient way. So that's really, I'm really super excited about that. That was a long time coming, and just some great stuff that we did. I'm looking at some of these other ones we did in here. Cassandra 5.0 update in there for our Azure managed instance. By the way, they have vector search in our Cassandra managed instance service there. So that's pretty cool. And that kind of got out under the radar. Cross-account container copy, the Cosmos DB mirroring in the Microsoft Fabric. That's, of course, a private preview. That'll come out bigger, louder, and prouder a little later this year. All this other stuff. So another great Ignite, and it was great seeing all the customers. I'm glad that events are kind of starting to come back into a kind of a in-person format. I think everybody's sick of virtual, although I guess this show is virtual, isn't it? So whatever. you can't have everything. We can't do this show in person all the time.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so that was awesome. It was great seeing, of course, all the team again doing all these features. But I wanted to talk about the Mongo vCore and Azure AI announcement we had, which was in Azure AI Studio, customers can now go and really quickly and easily build or prototype and build, test and build and deploy these AI-enabled chatbot types of scenarios or applications really quickly and easy. In fact, they can do it without writing functionally any code if they want. They can all do it in Azure AI Studio. It's a really great experience, and I did a demo of this at our session, and I pulled up, this is the breakout session we had, which was all about all of the AI capabilities and vector search capabilities that we've got in Cosmos DB. We talked about, of course, the per partition scaling in there as well, but we announced our GA for Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore, all the vector search capabilities in there, all the other great stuff that you can use when building these AI-enabled applications using Cosmos DB. And I had a great demo in there. And I kind of wanted to walk users through kind of that experience and how you build these kinds of chatbots using Cosmos DB vCore and Azure AI Studio. And just kind of give a little behind the scenes, like what was it take to build this demo and kind of the things I did to put it all there. So I thought let me just kind of walk in and walk you through all that stuff. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good. And for anyone watching, I know we're going through a lot of links right now, but all of those links, the links mentioned in this video, will be in the description of the YouTube video you're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into
So
it.
okay. So I did this demo, and the new announcement that we had was, hey, if you've got data in Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore, you can now seamlessly and easily build this chatbot experience in Azure AI Studio, and you don't have to write any code to do it. And to do that, I started with a couple of things. One is I had this GitHub repo that I created some months ago, and it's essentially kind of a similar one that I've built using our NoSQL API. And what it is it's our AdventureWorks data set, or what we call Cosmic Works. So we took AdventureWorks database, that's everybody that used SQL Server knows, kind of from the old days, if you will. And then we made a Cosmos DB version of that thing. So it's all document based instead of using SQL tables in there. And we've built an application here to provision all of the resources for this. So this GitHub repo here will create a Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore. You've got a bicep template in here and ARM template to do that. And then there's a front end that's built in a Blazor server framework. And you can actually go in this whole GitHub repo here, you can actually go and do the same type of chatbot experience. But this is all written in C# using code. But I started with this because it had all of the data and all the other stuff that could quickly and easily get this all set up for folks. So this was the repo I started with. And I think you put a link up for it later. And you can go in here and check it out. There's a lot of information on how to build these RAG pattern applications. I have a little architecture diagram that shows how this whole thing works, but you've got Mongo vCore in here. You've got some Azure functions that load data and also generate vectors on it. You, of course, have Azure OpenAI service in here. That's what generates the vectors as well as does the completions in there. And then there's a little app service front end in here. This is what's hosting the web server or the Blazor server application. So you can go through, read all of this stuff. There's a lot of great content in here if you're new to building these types of applications. But what I wanted to show is the coolest thing is you can just do a one-click deploy in here, and this will create all the resources. So it creates the Mongo vCore database, creates the web app, deploys it all, and then you can just create or fire up an Azure function here just by calling whatever you name your app in here, and then just call this inject and vectorize. And you can just throw this in a browser, or you can use Postman. And this will load all your data, get it all vectorized, and the whole thing is up and running. And what's cool is then when you're all done, you kind of get this kind of experience here. So I've got like a little debug version of this, and there it goes in here. And you can just go and you can ask questions. You can select which collection you want it to do the vector search against in here, but you can kind of do anything you want. I can say, what socks do you have? And hopefully this will work. Oh no, it's crashing. Hold on, let me restart it. What socks do you have? Oh no, something's happening here. All right, well, that's the experience in there. I guess we can edit that out maybe later. But this is what you're going to get from a UX perspective. And this thing is connected to all of the data in our MongoDB vCore. And then, of course, in these RAG pattern applications, you go and you run a query based upon what you've typed in here, like what is your most expensive mountain bike? And then this thing will come back and tell you what that most expensive mountain bike is and a whole bunch of other information. And then, it just goes and generates that response for you. So that's the front end of this thing, but it's not what was interesting or why I use it. The front end didn't matter. It was the fact that it created all the data and did it in a really easy way. Like all I had to do was just click that one button right there, and it provisioned all my data. So once I had that, what's that?
Oh, so that's super cool. We love low code solutions.
I like low code, and this whole thing is about low code, although I wrote a lot of code to put all this together. But at least for users, they can just quickly and easily get up and running and get a database running with a bunch of data in it, and they can go and test this. So once you go and deploy it, you can go and check out your data in here, and it vectorizes all this too. So here's my product collection. This is inside a retail database, or retail DB is what I named my database in here. And then I have a collection in here for customers that's in here. And hold on, this is fetching my customers. And then there's sales orders in here. And then, of course, I've got products in here as well. And for the demo, the experience I wanted to show was kind of like a product recommendation agent, if you will. So I was going to create a new chatbot. and customers could come in, they could say, hey, I'm looking for a bike or whatever accessories. Help me find what it is I'm looking for. And how this works is you load all this data, you run the Azure function, it consumes all of the content inside each of these documents, and then generates vectors on them, and then stores them back in the same document. So here's an array called vectors in here, and all of those numbers all relate to, or all basically vectorized data for everything within that document there, so that you can now go and run a vector query and do this nearest neighbor search on data in there based upon what a user types in. So the only change to this from like a regular Mongo collection is we have a new vector search within here. So this is our vector search capability. You have to obviously index that data so that you can search it. And that's what's happening right in here. So here's our data. We're ready to go. And basically from that point, I can go to the Azure portal. And here I have an Azure OpenAI account that I've created. And from in here, let's see, this is go to Azure AI Studio. There's a new preview experience in there for new AI Studio, they called it, but I'm going to use the older Azure AI, Azure OpenAI Studio. And the thing I wanted to show you here is this bring your own data preview here. So once you get in there and you got to create, obviously, a new account, and then you go ahead and you have to deploy a completion model. And here I've got two, and you need to do this. You have to deploy an embedding model in here. So here we're using text embedding ADA002, and that's used to generate vectors. And in this case, we're going to generate vectors based upon the text that the user types in. And then the next one you need is you need a GPT foundational model, and that is going to be here. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see. That's going to be this one here, which is GPT-4 32K. And so we've got both of these deployed in here, and this is what we're going to use to go and create our new experience in here. So let me go, and I'm going to click on Bring Your Own Data, and then let me walk you through kind of the whole experience within here.
Cool.
So
sounds good.
first thing I want to show is you have to select your data source. And of course, that's going to be our Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore. You can see there's some others in here as well, but the one we care about today is this one. And then you get some drop downs. I'm going to go against this subscription that I've got here. And then I'm going to select my MongoDB vCore account. We've got a few here. So there's this one. I need to put in my username and password. So let me type that in there. Very secure. And then next, I need to select the database I'm going to use in here. So this is my retail database. So if we go back to this, I had a retail example and tutorial. So that's the one I want. And then since we're creating a product recommendation chatbot, I want to use my products collection as the source data for this thing. So all of the vector queries from the user will go against this collection here, and it's vectorized data. Of course, I want to select my vector index. So this is the vector search index that I showed you a bit earlier. And then I need to select the embedding model. So this was the other one where I showed the text embedding ADA002. That foundational model is used to create vectors that is then used as part of the vector search. So it's kind of like the where clause in a search query. Go ahead and select that box there, and then I'll click. Now, I need to fill in some more data here. So when Azure AI Studio goes and runs this vector query against our Mongo vCore, it needs to know what data it should bring back. So I'm going to put in some properties here. Let's go back. There's some properties within our data here. So I've got a category name. There's a SKU. There's the product name itself within here, a description, and a price. And I think those are the ones I use. So category name, price, SKU, description. Yeah. So I'm going to bring all those properties back so that when I run my query, that's the data I'm going to get back here. And then the rest of these I can ignore. The only other one I care about is this vector fields. I have to select vector within here. And then that's it. So I'm going to go and save and close. And I've now got this experience in Azure AI Studio. that's grounded to my data. And I should be able to go and run a quick query here and just see, is this thing working? So let's see, what bikes do you have? And let's see what this thing says, but I should get some data back here. Very slow. Here we go. So there you go. It gave me some bikes back. I got the Touring 1000 yellow. Okay, more and more and more road, mountain, touring, and touring yellow and blue here. So this is great. And then it's giving me citations in here as well for each of
Nice.
those. So there you go. In like a minute, once I've got my data, I can go into this chat playground in Azure OpenAI Studio, and I can quickly connect to my data and then build a chatbot. And I can do it. I mean, it doesn't really get much easier than that, than what you've got right here inside Azure AI Studio. So this is pretty exciting, and customers at Ignite really loved that you can do this so quickly and so easily. But I want to take this a little further. So I'm going to tweak some stuff in here. This is okay. I want to maybe increase my documents. Maybe we'll just add 10 documents in here. So I can increase the number of documents I want to return from like 3 to 20 in here. You can actually maybe change this if you want. You can actually just turn it off if you want, and you won't have to limit it to anything at all within there, but we'll go ahead and we'll limit it within there. Something else I want to do here is I want to create a system message. If you're not familiar with building these types of applications, you have two types of prompts that go to ChatGPT when you create these RAG pattern applications, if you will. There's the user prompt or message within here, which is the thing I typed in, which was, hey, what bikes have you got? There's also this other one called a system message or a system prompt that you don't see, but that gets sent over in the payload when you call Azure OpenAI or you call an OpenAI GPT model. And what it does is that it more or less sets kind of the behavior for how that thing is going to respond. So you can give it all kinds of instructions. In fact, you can send it all kinds of stuff. In fact, you can send the data, and that's actually what goes as part of the system message is the results of the vector query that we're going to run. But we can also send other stuff like text that describes how am I going to behave and what do I do and who am I and that kind of stuff. So something I want to show you here is I'm going to use this system message to kind of create my little custom retail AI assistant. And I'm going to give him a name. I'm calling him Wheelie because this is a retail bike store, and Wheelie just sounds like a really cute name. Don't ask me where I came up with that. I just sat here one day and I'm like, what am I gonna do here? And I thought, well, I take an opportunity here to show how cool you can make this thing, and literally like no code, like I'm just typing in text here. So I'm gonna give him a name, and I'm gonna give him a personality, right? So I'm gonna say, here's who you are. You're an assistant for the Cosmic Works bike store. You help people find product information for bikes and accessories, and your demeanor is friendly, playful, and lots of energy. And then some other stuff in here, like round up prices to the nearest dollar. Don't include citations or numbers. Don't include emojis. Just more stuff to help fine tune their behavior. You can do all kinds of other stuff, like you can say, if you don't know an answer, don't answer it. If you don't know the answer, don't, or say, I don't know, right? You can do other stuff. And this is actually important. I've seen, if you don't do things like this, people can jailbreak your little AI assistant. I've seen people deploy these things, and then someone will go and test it. Like maybe it was built for like doing recipes or something like that. And then you got some clown that goes in there and says, I'd like to get investment strategies for hedging against inflation or something like that, right? Like completely ridiculous stuff. And it's like, sure, happy to, right? Because you never told it not to do that. You have to give it, you basically have, it's like a child. You have to tell it exactly what it can and cannot do. But you can do a lot of other stuff with this. You can give it examples. This is called few shot prompting. You can, of course, give it the data. That's part of the RAG pattern query. All of that goes over as part of the system message here. This is the part that you can customize that kind of give it kind of the behavior for the whole thing. So I'm going to save this in here.
I see that you can also use, there's something called system message templates. Is that like if you don't know what to set it as?
Yeah, so they give you some examples in here that you can use if you want, like IRS tax chatbot. So here's a good one, I guess. Let's see. This is a lot in this one. Let's see if I can make this thing bigger. Come on. Maybe not. This is preview. You can see, and I'll walk through this. Like you're an IRS chatbot, right? Here's your goal. And this is what you do: provide concise replies, be truthful, don't
Mhm.
answer questions not related. There you go. Like this is the one, like the guardrails.
Yeah.
Don't answer stuff if it's not related to taxes. If you don't know the answers, say I don't know, right? And go set them to the FAQs. Here's some specifics on tax changes for 2022, some other minutia on tax changes and laws. So this is a great example, and I think why they put them in here, of the kinds of things you can do with these hiking recommendations chatbot, right? So here again,
Mhm.
you're a hiking enthusiast named Forrest, right? You help people discover fun hikes, right? This is what it's all about, is defining the behavior for how these things are supposed to behave. And the
Mhm.
idea is that it's supposed to provide a more natural interface for humans and users to be able to interface with, of course, the data that we're working on here. So that's how we got to what I used here with my friend Wheelie. Is I wanted to create that similar type of experience, make a friendly chatbot. He's all about biking accessories, just wants to be helpful and do all that kind of good stuff for you. So this is what I did: is I created this guy and I called him Wheelie, and he's fun and playful and all kinds of stuff. So in fact, let's test him and see what is your name and what do you do. Let's see what he says. There he goes.
I
And
love the
he's
exclamation marks.
I
They're
love it,
really
right?
cool.
So
Yeah.
your go-to source for all things cycling. Ready to roll? Let's go pedaling, right? Like that's the fun. You can tell, like that's the stuff. And by the way, when you're building these things, these are things you want to test for, right? Like, is it behaving correctly? This is you want to do kind of some testing on here as well, just to make sure that he's staying within his box in there, and you
Mhm.
can't break him or get him to hallucinate or do other weird stuff in there. So these are all things that you're going to want to test. But again, you can do it all within this portal right here. You don't write any code. You're just typing in and testing in here. And by the way, you can keep all of the, oh, where is it in here? Oh, there's a chat history in this thing and I've lost it. Or I thought there was. In either case, yeah, that's, oh, there's the chat session. Where are you? No, that's it right there. Okay, I'm hallucinating, I think, myself. But you can include all the past messages in here as well. You can also save them, and I'm not quite sure why I can't see that. Maybe they made a change in here, but I thought you could save them within here as well. But in either case, so that's Wheelie, and I've tested this, so we know we're connected to our data. We know that we've got a good system prompt in here. I can do some more fun stuff. Another thing I showed during the demo was you can also enable the text to speech capability that's in here. So they've got a preview feature in here, this text to speech, and this is just another service that you can go and provision. So I've got a couple of them here. I've this one here, and then this one in Central Canada, and I'll provision that one. And then I want to enable speech to text. So I want it to listen to me and type text. And then
Mhm.
also I want to take the Wheelie's responses and have it go and speak that back to me. So I tested a bunch of different voices in here, and I love Brian the best. Let's see. Hopefully, uh, here I'm going to change it. I'm going to say hi. I'm Wheelie. See if this works. Hope you can hear it.
Hi, I'm Wheelie.
Well, you did say, "How can I help you today?" Did you hear the
Yeah, I did.
prompter? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's working great. Let me get him to speak this response. Oh, is that going to work? Oh, I have to do that again. Okay. Oh, here. I guess I forgot to save it. Save. It's not talking. Come on, Wheelie.
Hey there.
Oh,
I'm Wheelie. I'm your AI assistant for the Cosmic Works bike store. I'm here to help you find product information for bikes and accessories. I'm your go-to source for all things cycling. Ready to roll? Let's get pedaling.
very cool. So that worked great. So what I can do now, this is all tested. I've got the voice interaction in here. And by the way, this is the best way I think to kind of interact with these things, right? Is you want to talk to them, right? I think
Mhm.
it's more natural than typing in questions I mean, I guess, we're all used to chatbots and typing in questions, but I found this to be a more natural, fun way of doing it. And certainly for a demo, it was a lot more fun. And I think even if people wanted to go and take this, and I'll show you how you can go and you can deploy this whole thing into a production environment. But you could go and take this text to speech service that's within here and then fully enable that into an application and do that as well. So um, let's try a question in here and see what Wheelie comes up with. Hi, Wheelie. My name is Mark. I'm interested in purchasing a new bike. I got a big raise and lots of money. So money is no object here. What would you recommend? Willie instead of
Really?
Wheelie.
Hey Mark. Congratulations on your big raise. Let's get you geared up with a fantastic ride. If money is no object, I would recommend the Road 250 Black 44. It's a top-notch road bike priced at $2,444. It's designed for speed and efficiency on the pavement, perfect for both fitness and long-distance rides. But if you're more into touring and long trips, the Touring 1000 Yellow 54 or Touring 1000 Blue 60 could be a great fit. They are both priced at $2,385 and are built for comfort and carrying capacity. Lastly, if you're a fan of off-road trails, the Mountain 300 Black 48 at $1,080 could be your trusty steed. It's built to handle rugged trails and jumps. Remember, the best bike for you ultimately depends on where you plan to ride and your personal preferences. Happy cycling!
So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
That's a
Yeah.
pretty long answer, actually. But it's pretty nice. I like it. It's definitely grounded in our data. So this is, this Road 250 Black 44 is definitely one of the products out of our bike catalog here. Just, added lots of cool stuff to it and other product recommendations in here or bike recommendations here as well. So this was great. I can tune more stuff in here. Like maybe, if I wanted to get him to be more precise, I could take the temperature and just make this down to 1 and get it like less flowery, less
Mhm.
creative. I can also, what was the other one I'm looking for here? There's a token. Yeah, they changed some stuff in here. But you could limit the number of tokens potentially within here as well to make it a little more concise. Usually changing temperature and the top P in there, make you get temperature close to 0. That makes it more deterministic, if you will. There's less creativity, kind of less worriness around it. Also, limiting the number of tokens it uses as well can help make it more concise within there. But this is really, really great. It's working, I think, pretty well. One of the nice things about this is you can take this and you can get kind of the code for this pretty much right here out of
Mhm.
this thing and almost cut and paste this into your own application. Like if you've got your own front end on this thing and you just need to connect. Oh, look at it. It's even got the speech stuff baked in here too, which is amazing. So that's new within there. So you could go and have the speech stuff also within your application, and then just cut and paste this. There's multiple different, you got Python and there's C# in here. I guess if you wanted to do this via curl, which I don't understand how that works. If you're trying to build an application, you don't really do that, I guess, on the command line. But this will get you started right here. Here's your endpoint and your key within there as well. So that's kind of everything you need for that. The other great thing you can do as well is you can deploy a front end that they've created. So the Azure OpenAI team has created their own little web app. And then they send all the configuration information that's stored within the portal here. So it has the connection for Azure OpenAI, the connection for the MongoDB vCore, and then they deploy that into a new web app. And all you do is just give it a name in here. You're going to select a subscription within here and a resource group and a location. You can select a pricing plan for the web app. I mean, you can start with free if you want. One other great thing is you can enable the chat history in the web app. And this is super important. And the reason is when you're building applications like this, you want to save the interactions that ChatGPT is having with your customers, right? Like this is the same as you calling like a customer service line. And you've always heard like, hey, this call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes, right? It's the same thing, right? Like you want to know what your customer service representatives are saying to your customers. You absolutely want to know what a computer is saying and recommending to your customers too. If for no other reason, it provides an audit trail for those interactions, but also this is super critically important. You're going to want to optimize and improve the performance of these things over time. And that's going to be a combination of doing prompt engineering, like continually testing new prompts, new system prompts, like what I showed you in here to change the behavior. Anything else that's part of the RAG pattern or part of the vector search, everything and anything that goes into generating these things is going to need to be optimized and improved. And that's going to be either a cost and a performance thing. It's going to be an accuracy thing. It's going to be just making sure that he's behaving or it's behaving in there. All these things are important, and you can't do any of that unless you save those interactions. So this checkbox here will create a little Cosmos DB NoSQL API account, and then store all of the prompts and the responses that occur within your application. So absolutely critical that you check this, and of course you need to check these other things, and then of course you can deploy that. And then once you do, you get a cool little experience like this. And this is a neat little web app. It's all Python backend and TypeScript front end. And you can go and customize this to basically look and feel like anything you want. You could run this thing in an iframe and sit that off to the side, like you kind of see with chatbots where it says, click here to chat with a representative. You always see those little chat bubbles that sit there on the bottom right. You could just basically launch it that way in a frame, or it could be its own app, or however else you want to do it. It doesn't matter. The Azure OpenAI team has made it really super easy. You've got a web front end you can go and just run with. You don't have to create your own. You can customize this to suit whatever it is you need here. And then you have all of the basics for going and running your application. And what's cool here is you also get all the history as well within here. I didn't really do anything with this one here, but you've got a chat history within here. You can also share this. So if I wanted to go and give this to someone to go and run with, I could just go and copy that URL, and then this will go and just fire up another instance of my application that I can go and share with, I don't know, other users or whoever to go test with in here. But this is super easy. Again, I didn't write any code to do any of this, right?
Yeah.
And then if I wanted, I could customize this a little bit. I can go and here, let me clear this. I can do a little bit to customize this. So I created, I used Dolly, right, to create my little graphic. I wanted to create like a little, he looks like Clippy kind of with that, got reformed as a bicycle. But I thought, yay, if I'm giving him a little personality, let's give him a little image or an avatar or whatever that people can connect with in here. So he's a happy little bicycle doing a wheelie in there.
Mhm.
And here you can say, I'm Wheelie. I'm your AI assistant. Let me help you with your biking needs. So I can kind of give him his own little fully formed personality and look and feel in here. And you can go and ask questions and you get the same chat history in here as well. I can take that even further and I can, customize this header in here. I can customize, I can just put a new fave icon in here. I can do all kinds of stuff to customize this fully and make a full experience with him connected to the system prompt in here that I had before, connected to my data in Mongo vCore. It's all there, and I just think this is a really cool way. And by the way, I did even the customization here. That was really super easy. I can even show you. So the Azure OpenAI folks have a little here. Let me go back. There is they've got a GitHub repo here. I think I put this in the chat for you earlier as well. Or yeah, it's the last one. But this GitHub repo is basically the source code for doing all this, and it's just a little Python app with a TypeScript front end in there, and you can do a one deploy to Azure here. You can customize all of these things within there. So you can either take and deploy it straight out of this into here. And then they've got instructions on there on how you can go and then take this and then customize it and then just AZD and then deploy that in place over the existing application that they deploy in there. So it'll all work for you. And then you can customize it. And then customizing it is actually really simple. There's kind of only a couple places you need to touch. So if you go into the source here, here's everything you need. So there's a front end in here, and then just go into pages, and then go into this chat TSX file, and then you just scroll down. It's about 570 something lines down. But this whole section right in here, the only thing I had to change was this was Azure before. I just changed it to Wheelie, and I'll show you like right at the top. I just changed and added this import. So I had this Azure. That's the Azure icon I had. And then I just added this Wheelie graphic. And that sits, where is that? That's right here. I just added a little SVG for Wheelie. And it looks awful, of course, when you're looking at it like that. But that's just replacing this Azure icon with the Wheelie. And that gave me, where are you? That gave me this guy right here. That's basically all I did was just replace that little graphic with this little guy. And also I changed and got rid of the Azure icon up here and then changed this to Cosmic Works Bike Company from Azure AI. And to do that, so I changed, and then the text, of course. So I had hold on, let me scroll back down. So here's that little text underneath the Wheelie icon there. So, hi, I'm Wheelie. I'm your AI assistant for the Cosmic Work Bike Store. Let me help you with your needs. That's just right here. So just some text inside here. And then I changed the fave icon. That's just sitting in this index HTML file. And then type the Wheelie AI assistant. That's the title for the application. That's pretty much it to customize this thing and just to get that little bit out of it. And then you've got this huge, monster. I created a new launch configuration, and I just set all my environment variables in here, and you can handle this any way you want within there. But you'll have to update that to get all of your values all pushed into the deployed web app. But that's how they do it, is just everything is in a config value, and I'm just throwing it in my launch JSON right here. And then you just go and you can debug this pretty easily. I'm just, just starting typing like start command in here. I mean, that was, hold on, I can stop this.
This is really cool. It seems like you can
debug.
personalize a lot of this.
You can you can personalize all this. And again, like, this is the thing I love, is there's no there's no real code involved with this, right? Like the code's all done,
Mhm.
and it's just there and it works. And for a lot of people, I think that's going to get them, most of the way there, or maybe all the way there. But yeah, so that's kind of it for all the customization that's in there. Again, I wanted to show this is the little customized app that they wrote that has all the, it's all the Python and the TypeScript in there. And even if you don't use this, it's a great way just to get started within
Right.
there. And, or if you want, you can go back and use my other, like I've got another app right here. This
Mhm.
functionally does the same exact thing. This is the first repo I showed you, the vector search and AI assistant for Mongo vCore. Maybe people don't want to do this in Python and TypeScript. That's okay. This thing's all written in .NET, so this is a whole Blazor server app in here that shows that whole user experience in there. And then there's an Azure function in here that I use to load all the data. So this is all the ingest and vectorized data. That's all just an Azure function that gets called. And then that just loads a bunch of data up out of blob storage. And then, whoops, I don't know what I just did there. Oh, I don't know what that was, but that's okay. But people can go and do that. And then this is kind of the whole guts of it right here, which is this function that's in my chat service. That's right within the search service within here. But if you ever wanted to see kind of what are the major moving pieces for building like these RAG pattern applications, this is a really simple way of seeing how it works. And there's kind of like the major steps is like, hey, I got to generate embeddings for my user query. That's the text I type in, like what bikes do you have? I have to go generate embeddings doing that. So here, this first call is going to take that text and then go generate a bunch of vectors on it. And then it's going to go and do a vector search. That's the query using these vectors that you've generated. I need to get all my conversation history, because usually when you have these kind of conversations, like let's go back to our chat playground here. So remember here, I said I got a big raise here. And it's recommending some bikes. I can say, you have any, let's find something that's kind of contextually relevant. I'm trying to find something where I don't have to restate anything here. I wonder if it will try to see the first bike you recommended. This is totally live. I don't know if it's going to remember, if it's going to work. I want to see if you can tell me what color this Road 250 is.
The first bike I recommended, the Road 250 Black 44, is black in color. It's a sleek and stylish choice for road biking.
So yeah, it remembered. And the reason it can do that is it knows the conversation. It has all the history of our conversation, at least up to a certain point. And in fact, if I go back into here, you can see within the AI Studio, they do the exact same thing. So you can include past messages that get sent as part of the prompt. So when you ask a follow-up question, it has some context. Now, if it didn't do that, and I asked this question, excuse me, it wouldn't know what I was talking about. So that wouldn't work. So you've got to send some conversation history back to ChatGPT so that it has some history to work with there, and it can help make a more intelligent response there. And then all these other steps in here, like you need to go and build the prompt. That's the whole thing where you've got the user query or the user prompt, the conversation, and all of that other stuff. And then, of course, the results of the vector query. And then you need to go build those prompts, and then you send it to OpenAI and say, here's the whole payload. Give me back a response. And that's the completion text here that you see. And then, of course, how many tokens it took. Everything in OpenAI is built around tokens. Like Cosmos has these request units. That's kind of our compute currency. With Azure OpenAI or OpenAI itself, they use tokens as kind of their compute currency. So every time you make a request to them, you basically consume some number of tokens per second within there. So anyway, I just wanted to show this again, because if people want to get even more in depth on how do you build these types of RAG pattern applications to build these AI chats, you can actually look at this as well, because this is an actual example of how you build these RAG pattern chatbot types of things. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to build it and do it totally without any code, I totally love this experience. You can just connect to your data and get started on there. And then, hey, once you got all your testing done, you can go any way you want, which is I'm going to deploy this thing out to a web app and then customize it, or go build your own, whichever way you want to go.
That's super cool. I want to like just log off and play with this for the rest of the day now.
Good.
Yeah, this is super cool because, like, obviously we're all using ChatGPT these days, but to actually personalize it and cater it to what your business needs are, that's a really, really powerful tool. And I think the more people know about this, the more competitive and the higher of an edge that their products can have over others. So thanks for teaching us about that. And this is really exciting and super like good use case of how we can use Cosmos DB for it as well.
Cool. Well, hey, great being on the show. It's great being back. I love having you as host, by the way. I think you're a great host. So I hope, can you keep coming back and playing host for
Yeah, of course.
We can divvy up and stuff, or whatever works for your schedule. You're busier than I am, so.
Yeah, I learned from the best, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment it in the YouTube video, and we'll have people from our team answer it as well. We're looking forward to seeing all the chatbots that you guys create as well.
Show us on Twitter. Let's check them out. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks, Mark.